Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of the Train Station. As always, I am your host, A Train, and due to an unfortunate illness to one of my co hosts for this segment last week, Kaleb, we decided that we were just going to put the week 2 episode on pause and just do weeks 2 and 3 together. So, this is episode 2 of the Red Devil Roundtable. So, we're going to go ahead and recap both Spurs and the Nottingham Forest game yesterday. As this is episode, and this isn't the intro, but this is episode 2 of the Red Devil Roundtable, and boy, that Spurs game was pathetic, to say the least.
Yeah, we lacked conviction and just heart completely in that game.
I don't really have a whole lot to say against the Spurs. That was one of the worst performances in recent memory that I can remember that United went out there and played. Showed no
Yeah,
heart, no passion. I mean, this is a Harry Kane-less Spurs team, and United went out there and they look like Spurs.
yes. Um, you know, we would have thought that they would have been lacking a little bit in attack, but it was the opposite. Unfortunately, we were, you know, just poor defensively and poor offensively as well.
Yeah, it was just a really bad day at the office. I mean, it was a game that I didn't really even want to discuss. So I'm kind of glad that you came down with an illness last week because we don't have to spend so much time on it. But yeah, by far one of the worst performances I think I've seen. I don't even want to give a player the match because there wasn't. They all played terrible. And going from one bad game where they looked terrible against Wolves into Spurs, you think that Eric Ten Hag would have made some changes. He went with the exact same lineup that he did
Yes.
against the Wolves, and that proved to not work. And then we'll get into it, but we seen a few changes against Nottingham yesterday. But I
Yes.
mean, if it didn't
Uh,
work against Wolves, what makes you think it's going to work against usually a top six side in Spurs? Like sometimes you have to learn to change things up, and as good as Ten Hag has been, at times I think that his ego gets in the way of this team being able to be really successful, and he thinks that doing it his way, no matter what, is always the right way. But sometimes, if it's not working, you have to learn how to change.
yeah, I think that is something that all Man United fans want to see is Ten Hag being able to adapt, um, not just game by game, but in game as well. Um, and like you said, um, we did not see that. We were hoping for something. We talked about that in the Wolves game that we hoped to see a change. Um, and I'll say this: we did have chances in the first half. Um, we also should have let up a goal in the first half, um, but um, we, for the most part, could have came out of there um, maybe with a tie if we would have hit on some of those chances in the first half. But we didn't, and that's the deciding factor is we didn't hit on those chances, and we let those kind of just deter us from the second half, and it was just um, hard to watch.
It was a hard game to watch. I mean, I thought yesterday was a tough pill to swallow, but watching that Spurs game, I couldn't believe my eyes what I was seeing. I'm like, Spurs aren't going to be that good this year. This should be an easy 3 points for United. I mean, they have a pretty favorable schedule walking into the start of the season. We've already went over that. Yeah, so anyways, let's move on to the game yesterday against Nottingham Forest.
Yes, and what are your
Early,
initial
it
takeaways?
looked bad. I got up for that game thinking, okay, yeah, they're gonna bang in 4, 5, 6 goals. It's gonna be a great game, great day. On the flip side, USA goalkeeper number one, Matt Turner, was like he's gonna look good, but they're also gonna lose by a lot. Um, we didn't exactly get that, in any way, shape, or form? We
Yes.
let
The first 5 minutes were, um, I couldn't believe my eyes.
the uh the first 5 minutes. For those that didn't watch the game, Nottingham Forest scored not once, but twice in the matter of 5 minutes. When I tell you I wanted to shut the game off and go back to sleep, I was not kidding.
Yes, I'm sure many people did, and I'm sure that um, it wasn't the response that we would have liked to see. But after those 5 minutes, um, easily the best football played this year. But it took, being down 2-0 5 minutes into the game for that to happen. So still a lot of
Which
concerns.
the two goals weren't necessarily their fault either. Like the first goal, I believe, was off a just a lucky counterattack from Nottingham.
Yeah, and we should have just cleared the ball out
And
instead of
then
trying to play it back in.
the second goal was off a lucky, very lucky header that the Nottingham Forest dude who scored, he didn't even know that he scored.
Yeah, it
Like
was just
it was just
a bounce.
it was just pure luck. It bounced off his head into the goal. Like when he scored, even he looked surprised. Like if you go back and look at the replay, he's like, "Oh, I scored, cool!" But like he didn't even realize that he scored until afterwards. After the fact that he scored, he didn't even realize it. But yeah, like you said, after those 5 minutes, absolutely dominated the game. For the next 85.
Yes. Our midfield played great after those first 5 minutes. We controlled the ball the whole game. Um, I liked the substitution of Lindelof and Sancho. They both played great. Um, Other than that, I just like to see us have a little bit more consistency going into the next game.
And shockingly enough, I was talking about it beforehand. I said this dude Anthony, they need to bench him because this dude has been just, not playing well. He actually had a really good game yesterday,
Yes.
but the
Um,
turning point of the game was very apparent, and it's obvious why he's United captains this year. Bruno Fernandez played an absolutely outstanding game yesterday.
mhm. Yeah, whether it was winning balls, pushing the ball up the field for counterattacks, um, whether it was his, penalty kick that won us the game. Um, he was doing everything, and we we needed that from him.
Yeah, and obviously we're gonna move ahead just a minute. We'll go back, but obviously the player of the match yesterday was Bruno Fernandez. You could also make a case that it could have been Casemiro because Casemiro played a very good game as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Bruno Fernandez easily player of the match yesterday. He uh he did what a true leader does, and even though they got down early, they got down 2-0 within the first 5 minutes. He rallied the troops and said, "Guys, there's still 85 minutes left. We can turn this around. Let's just play our kind of ball, and let's see what
Yeah.
happens." And I think the Mason Mount injury was kind of a blessing in disguise because Bruno Fernandez played his best game of the season without Mason Mount out there because they play similar roles, which I knew this would happen. And the moment Mason Mount signed, I said, I don't know how they're going to play both Bruno and Mason at the same time.
Yeah.
And we
Well,
seen in the first two games that it really didn't work out well. And we seen Bruno get back to his old self without Mason Mount out there. But yeah, so my clear man of the match for me was Bruno Fernandez. What about you?
yeah, like you said, clearly he had the assist to Casemiro for the second goal. He was, like you said, commanding of the team, and obviously he had the game winner. I also do want to um, give a little bit of shout out for Onana as well. I'm not saying he was man of the match, but he did make a couple big saves down at the end, and he also was a very vocal leader. Um, and I think that those two guys going forward, I think are going to make games easier on us when they're not easy because of their uh, just commanding and leadership roles. They kind of pushed the team to keep fighting and be better when things did not look good.
Speaking of goalkeepers, can I just give a shout out to USA's number one, Matt Turner, and the game that he played yesterday? Because that dude played absolutely incredible yesterday. Despite them giving up 3 goals, they easily should have given up 5 or 6, but Turner played such a good game yesterday.
Yeah, I'm looking at the stats real quick here.
There was that
Um,
shot from Anthony that looked like, oh my god, he had a curler that looked like for sure it was going in. I don't know how, but Matt Turner full stretch saved it from it
yes,
going in, and I was like, holy crap, did he really just save that? Because it was such a
yeah.
beautiful shot at the other end from Anthony.
And
But
he was blinded by his own
yeah,
teammates too. He
and
could
he
not see that until the last minute.
that's what made the save even more impressive is the defender was blocking his view of the shot. He just full stretches out and saves it, and it was just I was like, holy crap, this is exactly what USA has needed. Easily the best goalkeeper USA has had since Tim Howard.
Absolutely. And so I did pull up the shots. We had beaten them 9-4 on goal shots and 18-9 on shot attempts. So that really speaks to Matt Turner's
Matt Turner
performance.
and
And
the backup goalkeeper for Nottingham Forest is another American in Ethan Horvath. So I don't know what Nottingham Forest is cooking over there, but they're doing something right with all these American goalkeepers.
yeah, but all right. Next match, we are playing Arsenal on Sunday.
Yeah,
What do you expect lineup wise, and what do you expect the changes to be, and then overall score?
well, the good news is they tied Fulham yesterday. So that's the good
Yes.
news. What I expect is with the transfer market running down within the next week before the Sunday game at Arsenal, United has lots of injuries to be concerned about, and that's something that
Yep.
scares me against a fully healthy Arsenal team. So Luke Shaw is expected to continue to miss extended periods of time. Mason Mount expected
Mount
to
as well.
miss extended periods of time. We are not sure if Casemiro, who looked like he cramped up at the end, we're not sure if he's raring to go. Um,
Rasmus as well will be out.
yeah, new signing Rasmus. It does not look like he's gonna play, although he is training with the first team. I don't know if he's fully fit yet to play. Tyler Malacia is out.
Yep. Yeah. We're
So United
running
has
low
a
on
lot of
defense.
injuries. I'm surprised. Shout out to Anthony Martial for not getting hurt in yesterday's game. Cause somehow,
He
some
would have
way,
helped
this
us if he was
dude,
hurt.
somehow, some way, this dude has been at United for 8 years, has played 200 games and scored over 100 goals. But I don't know when he's been healthy enough to be able to do that. Regardless, um, he's healthy, so he'll probably be our striker going into Arsenal. And then on the wings, I think you have Anthony and Rashford. You have
Mm-hmm.
Bruno at the in the midfield spot at the 10 spot, and then you have Casemiro in the midfield as well as a center defensive mid. I think they get a loanee. It's looking like it's going to be Cucurella from Chelsea as a on loan, so he'll probably be left back.
Okay.
And then you have Varane and Martinez at center backs, and then you have Wan-Bissaka at right back.
Yeah.
And obviously you have
Um,
Onana, what's my name, at goalie.
Uh, yeah, so I'm going to predict there will be one change in the lineup. I think our defense will remain the same with Diego playing left back. I think he showed some good promise
I
there.
disagree. I think he was a terrible left back. I think he needs to stick to the right side.
But I mean, we don't really have any other
That's
options
why I said
besides young players.
they're gonna get in alone. Yeah. Speaking of young players, why did Daniel Gore not get a chance? Why has Alvarado Fernandez not getting it? I think that's his name or whatever his name is.
Yeah,
Why did he not get a chance? I'd like to see
some
Alvarez
of the
or
young
Fernando
players.
or
Yeah,
whatever his name is, the young Argentinian dude. I'd like to see him get a start at left back. But I think they loaned somebody in for the season.
yeah. So um, we'll see how quick they can get fit as well as another, um, you know, question. But I do think the defense will stay as is for now. Um, I also think the midfield will stay the same, but I am hoping we will see Kobe or Gore um, get some minutes as a substitution.
Bono will not be
Um,
fit. He is supposed to be out until after the international break.
oh, well, that's bad news. Um, well, then I'd at least like to see Gore get some playing time. He looked good in the preseason, and then this is where I have my one change. I think Sancho will start at the nine, and I think his role is going to be a little bit different than a traditional,
Yeah, he'll
but
play more of the false nine role.
yes, but you could see that in that second half, he just makes a difference. I think we saw that in the Wolves game as well, where that opened up Juan Bissaka to a goal to Varane, and then in the second half of last game, um, we had a Casemiro header in the middle, and then we had Rashford able to make a move inside um, and get the penalty. So
Yeah.
he just opens up the middle. I think that has been seen. I think we need that. And when we can get our midfield, because we have a very good midfield when healthy. So when we can get our midfield into scoring opportunities, it really benefits our team. So I hope Sancho will be at that number 9 position, and then Rashford and Antony on the wings.
Yeah, and it's amazing how when he was at Borussia Dortmund and he played on the wing, he looked world class. And ever since he's come to United, he's kind of struggled. He hasn't really fit in, but that's also United's fault for having 75 capable people of playing winger. Um, but in the preseason, and this is where I want to give Ten Hag his flowers a little bit, he wanted to try something different and try something out of the ordinary. He put in Jadon Sancho at the striker position, but he moved him back a little bit. That's what we were talking about. Put him kind of in that false nine where he's considered a striker, but he doesn't really play like a striker, like a traditional
Yeah.
striker. And it worked really well. And it just seems like Sancho kind of has his confidence back now. And that's what we've all kind of been waiting for as United fans, is for Sancho to have that kind of confidence back.
Yes, especially for his contract, for the deal that we made. We need to make his time worth it. We need him to step up with another loss in the club of Greenwood. That the club ultimately decided to let him go. So,
Smartest
you know,
decision the club has made in the last 5 years.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Um,
but that's another topic for another day.
another day.
I just want to say with Sancho real quick. Yeah, it didn't look like the deal was going to pan out very well, and if Southgate wasn't in charge of England, he would not have a spot, and Harry Maguire would not have a spot. So I think him brimming with confidence right now is pretty much ensuring that he will keep his spot in the England team as well.
Yes. And that's what
Also,
we
before we
like.
continue to talk about Arsenal, what quality at this point, besides just existing, is Scott McTominay good at?
I think at this point he's just he's just a body that we can put out there to give guys breaks.
because
Um,
he didn't look good at all in either game that he's played. I don't know why Ten
yeah,
Hag continues to throw this man out there. At this point, I would rather see Harry Maguire try to play midfield than ever see Scott McTominay again. Like, this dude, the only thing that changed about him is he got a haircut.
a bad one.
But that's the only thing that changed. He looks terrible, and the only reason I think they keep him and they haven't sold him yet is because, as we were talking about yesterday, he fits the homegrown quota. But like they have enough guys with Gore and Mono and all those other guys. Do they really need this dude? They need to just sell him at this point. I don't care if they sell him to freaking League One side, whoever. He needs
Yes.
to get sold. I mean, he's what, Scottish? Send him to the Scottish Premier League. Have him go play for like a lower tier, like Motherwell or something over in the Scottish Premier League.
Yeah, just
This
um,
dude, if I have to, oh my god, like there's not too many people I've never liked seeing in a United jersey. Harry Maguire one, Scott McTominay is the other one. Like I do not want to see this dude ever put on the jersey again. Like he irritates me
yeah.
that much. This freaking big blonde buffoon just goes out there and does nothing. Like
But get cards.
you're
I mean,
wrong. I'm
he was
wrong. He
lucky
goes
to
out
not get
there.
a red card
He goes
yesterday.
out there and he tackles people, but he's playing the wrong football. Like, bro, this is not American football. This is European football. Quit trying to play American football out there. Like, this dude is just. I'm sorry to all, Kaleb included, to all the blondes out there, but he fits the stereotypical big dumb blonde. Like, he doesn't do anything. He's just a blonde that's out there. Like, the dude has no soccer IQ. Like, I'm pretty sure I have more soccer IQ than him, and I stopped playing soccer when I was like 14.
Wow, Anthony,
Just had to
definitely
just
going
had to
in
get
on
that
this
off of
guy.
my chest. Like, this dude is pathetic. Like, I don't know why this dude has ever even gotten the
The first team,
the honors to even put on the Manchester United jersey.
yeah,
And honestly, we should have sold McTominay over Fred because Fred was loved by the fans for his energy.
yeah,
McTominay just goes out there and he just takes up space. Like, him and Harry Maguire should be known as the Fridge Twins. Because all they
yeah.
do is they go out there, they don't help the team, and they just take up space.
Yeah. There, it's very head scratching to see how he's
Speaking of
getting.
Harry Maguire, he needs to move. He didn't want to take the move to West Ham because he thought he was owed more money than what he deserves, and he still thinks he has a place at United, even though he's like fifth choice center back. But no matter what happens, Gareth Southgate, best English manager of all time, by the way, will pick him no matter what. So I hope that he continues to love his spot in England because that's the only time he's gonna play. Like, dude, when you are passed up by a left back for a center back position, at what point do you think, maybe I should move to revive my career?
Well, how about when we had to sign Johnny Evans, a man
Yeah.
who was on borderline retired?
Well, I
Yeah,
think the thing with that too is in signing Johnny Evans is because he is a homegrown guy, it fits that homegrown quota. So a guy like Dean Henderson, who is officially moving now, so guys like that can leave the club. So I'm hoping with the signing of Johnny Evans within the next 4 days that the transfer window closes, I hope that McTominay is shipped on the next freaking toaster to Lithuania or freaking, I don't
and
know.
anywhere but here is fine
Shoot,
with
why
us.
can't Saudi Arabia come in and offer him a giant contract? Like, you're bad when Saudi Arabia doesn't even want you because Saudi Arabia is out here handing contracts to literally everybody.
Um,
So just thought I had to get that off my chest real quick on McTominay. Moving on to Arsenal, it's going to be a heck of a battle with Arsenal. Um,
yeah, what's your score prediction for that game?
I think it's going to be a 0-0 draw.
Okay.
And I say that because Arsenal, surprisingly, with all the money they spent this summer, as well as United spending all that money, both teams have looked significantly worse than a year ago. Arsenal signed Declan Rice and Kai Havertz, and dude, I don't know how Chelsea was able to fleece 75 million pounds for Kai Havertz, but the dude is terrible. Like,
Yeah.
the dude stinks. I don't know why Arteta was like, yeah, he's our number one signing this summer. What did you see at Chelsea? Or even did you see when he was over in Germany that was like, oh yeah, this dude is worth the 70 million that we're gonna spend on him. And then, although he isn't worth the 115-pound price tag that he got, Declan Rice has arguably been Arsenal's best player, which is why I said they've gotten significantly worse.
Yeah, I mean, it is very, very early, just like Mason Mount, to really judge on these new signings.
Not
But
for
it,
Havertz because he did the same thing at Chelsea.
what I
Speaking
was going to say,
of guys that kind of just go out there and don't do anything, like what does Kai Havertz actually do good? He doesn't score goals, which is what he's paid to do. He doesn't really give assists to anybody. He kind of just stands out there.
um, but I think this is going to be a 1-1 draw.
Yeah,
I
I
think
think a draw is likely, and if it is a win, I think it's a win in Arsenal's favor. Just because
that
United
could.
has too many injuries, so I think that if it is like a 1 or 2 nothing game, I think it goes in Arsenal's favor because they're fully
Yeah.
healthy.
I'd like to see us score first, though. If there are goals in this game, and if we do have a shot to win, I think we have to score first, um, because we're not going to be able to come back in the game like we did against
Yeah,
Nottingham Forest.
Arsenal is going.
You know,
Can I just say I'm very excited for the winger battle in this game because both teams have very good wingers. Arsenal with Martinelli and Saka, and then uh, clearly United with either Sancho, Palestri, Rashford, and Antony. So it's going to be a very good winger battle. I'm very excited to see how the wingers are. And especially with, that's why I think Aaron Wan-Bissaka has to start because this dude will literally lock down any of the best wingers in the world. So
yeah, I think he's got.
I'm very
I mean,
excited to see the winger battles on both sides because I think both teams have very, very good young wingers, and it's going to be exciting.
yeah, I think um, it, it is going to be a battle um, of wingers and backs. Yeah, I think
But I
we
think
should have the
the
advantage.
biggest difference I think in this match is going to come down to the midfield. And I don't care if you're an Arsenal fan, there is no way you can convince me that this dude Declan Rice is better than Casemiro. And I think that's where the difference is going to be. But I also think the difference is going to be in that center midfield, like the center attacking midfield role that Bruno plays. Because I think Bruno is going to be, regardless of what people think, I think Bruno once again is going to be the best player on the pitch. And I think that it's going to come down to him being able to make plays to the wingers if United is going to come out with the 3 points.
Yeah, I'd like to see um, Rashford and Anthony at least get some early chances. If a goal is one of them, that'd be great. But I'd like to see them aggressive early and getting shots on the goal, even if they're not ideal shots. I feel like if we, you know, if we can be aggressive early and try to cause some doubt in Arsenal.
Well, we talked
Um,
about this last week or 2 weeks ago. We talked about being aggressive, and then they go out and they give up freaking 2 goals to Spurs and 2 goals in 5 minutes to Nottingham
yeah,
Forest. So maybe not take the aggressive approach early. Maybe let the game come to them like they did against Nottingham Forest after they go down 2-0. They weren't really aggressive, but they kind of settled down and let them. They kind of just played their game after that. They let the game come to them. So I'm not gonna even sit here and say start the game aggressively because that turned into 4 goals at the other end. So
well,
don't start aggressive. Play Ten Hag ball. Let the game come to you. Don't get overly aggressive and just go out there and have fun. And if I think honestly, if it really comes down to it, as good as Bruno's gonna be, the biggest difference I think it's gonna be Martinelli and Aaron Wan-Bissaka.
Yeah, that's the
Because
key matchup,
Aaron
clearly.
Wan-Bissaka is, and we've talked about this before, is one of the most underappreciated good players at Man United. Like nobody ever talks about the great job that he does. We do, and we gave him man of the match against Wolves, but no other United fans you ever see give Aaron Wan-Bissaka the benefit of the doubt. Like the dude's future was in doubt
Yeah,
at United. He goes out there and he locks up freaking some of the best players, some of the best wingers in the world at Barcelona and Madrid and all those. He locks them up, and then they're like, oh, maybe he has what it takes. Yes, we knew he had what it took. But you
yeah,
guys didn't.
and
Nobody really believed in him, and then and then Dallo signed the freaking new contract, and we're like, okay, here's the end for Wan-Bissaka. But then Wan-Bissaka goes out and proves that he's worth every dollar and every
yeah,
freaking penny that we spent on him.
yeah, and also I do like Dello. I think he's still a good um, back.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, yeah, you can tell he's better on the right than the left. I mean, that's his natural position. But at this moment, we don't really have too many options. Um, but I'll say this: um, if there was a bright spot in that Spurs match, it was Son didn't do much, and that
Yes.
was because of Aaron
Aaron
Wan-Bissaka.
Wan-Bissaka will lock up your best winger any day of the week. And
And
he's locked up greats like freaking Vinicius Jr., Gavi, and all those guys, and Fati, and all those dudes at Barcelona. He's locked up Saka and Martinelli. He's done it before. Um,
yeah, that's our chance of
Pulisic when
winning.
he was at Chelsea locked him up.
Yeah,
So just guys like that, and he'll do that. And I think no matter how much of a difference I think Bruno will make in this match, I think that the true matchup comes down to either Martinelli and Saka versus Wan-Bissaka, whoever they decide to line up against him.
yeah. And then any final thoughts before
Yes.
next week, or anything that you'd like to see from the club besides a sale?
Yes, I don't want to see. I want besides sales because they can, like you said, they can sell it. We talked about this off stream and off the roundtable. They can sell players in January. Bring
Yes,
somebody in, especially with the injury dilemma that they're in right now. I want to see one, two, maybe even three players brought in before the deadline. I believe the deadline is August 31st, if I'm not mistaken.
yes, you are correct.
And so I know definitely for sure on August 31st, I'm going to be tuned in to Fabrizio Romano's Deadline Day news because it's going to hopefully be a busy one. I would like to see a left back come in, or if you're not going to bring in a left back, give the young guys a chance. Midfield is absolutely crucially needed.
Especially with injuries.
Ambarat
Yes,
is pushing for a move for United. He's pretty much telling Florentina, I want to leave, get me out of here. He hasn't been involved in the last two matchday squads for Florentina as he's pushing for a move for United. United just need to send the official bid at this point.
yeah,
Um,
that's
I'm not
uh,
sure how to pronounce his
Quarantine is
name,
waiting for it.
but
So
with Henderson gone, United has signed some Turkish goalkeeper to replace him as the second.
yeah,
I don't know how to pronounce his name, so don't ask. But the Turkish goalkeeper will be the first ever Turkish player to play for United. Fun
oh,
fact.
that's neat.
Um, so yeah, a little fun fact and tidbit there. But yeah, that's all we have for today. Any final thoughts from Kaleb will be heard, but that's all I have. Appreciate you guys tuning in as always to listen to us or ramble on about Manchester United.
Yeah, so I'm with you on the final thoughts of getting um, defender. I mean, clearly, I think you and I both agree we need a left back to at least um, be on loan
And maybe not even a
for.
left back itself, but like a center back that could play left back as well.
But yeah,
Because then
yeah,
you can kill two birds with one stone.
yeah, that
And yeah, it doesn't even have to be a full on buy. Like do what we did
yeah,
last year when we were having striker problems. Go out and loan somebody. Like they loaned Weghurst last year. Loan
yeah,
somebody because then you're not wasting a gigantic because you're only picking up a portion of the wages when somebody's on loan.
Yeah.
So it's much cheaper to go on loan or do a loan and then figure out the sellings in January before, just
Yes.
full on. Like, even if it doesn't come to making an official bid for Amberat, maybe they do like a season long loan with an obligation to buy later on. That way
Yeah.
you can get your finances sorted out that way.
I feel like I agree with you. As far as defense goes, we don't need something committal. We just need something now where I do feel like in the midfield we might need something a little bit more commitment worth, where there could be a buy option or we just buy. But those are the two things that I'm looking at before August 31st. Um, if it's on August 31st, we'll take it. But I'd rather it be before that date, when the price could go up, because of timing. Um,
And also,
I'm
I would like to see a loan because at this point, their options are they're thinking about signing Ryan Bertrand on a free. The dude hasn't played first team football in 3 years.
Yeah.
Like,
I
the
also
dude
heard
hasn't
that we're
played first
looking.
team soccer in 3 seasons, yet that's who
Yeah,
you want to sign as a replacement left back. Like, how far has this club fallen to be like, yeah, we want to sign some guy that hasn't played regularly in 3 years?
that's it's not good. And um, I mean, I've also heard that we're looking at Marcos Alonso, I believe his name. He's a
Marco Alonso, yes.
yes, yeah,
The
for
I think
Barcelona.
the
Yeah,
former Chelsea center back who is now at Barcelona. Getting him on loan, I wouldn't mind because he does fit that category of being able to play both center back and wing back or left back or whatever they want to play him as. He's capable of playing anywhere on the line, so I'd be okay with that. And Barcelona is broke, and so they need all the help they can get. So if we can get somebody on loan to take that off, because they're trying to raise funds to go get João Felix and one of the dudes from Manchester City, I forget his name, Alvarez, I think,
yeah,
from
Alvarez is
Man
good.
City. So they're trying to raise funds for that. So if we could either do like a loan with an obligation to buy, or even just like a season-long loan where we cover 85% of the wages, it helps both teams out in the end.
Yeah. Um, those are my final thoughts. I'd like to see a win against Arsenal, and as long as they compete, I feel like that's feasible. We just can't let these mental lapses get to us.
Yeah, and yeah, that's final thoughts. Hope you guys appreciate it.